the exact answer here if United Way would be included. My guess
Probably
is
not.
No.
No.
These community action agencies are typically a nonprofit group that's within a county government that provides local services to the residents.
So in our community, would that be share?
Yes.
That's share.
Could it be something like a public housing authority?
Public housing authority is a little bit different because there actually is there is money coming to the states through the HUD program that would allow the housing authority to do this type of effort.
So there's separate funds coming through them?
There are separate funds coming for public housing authority.
The weatherization program is odd in this state in that it goes through the governor's office, whereas a lot of the other money goes through either HUD or the South Carolina Energy Office. And the SCEO has a really good website. The governor's office does not. So it's kind of hard to find out more information about that weatherization assistance program. But the work's got to be done.
You in the back?
Do you know if the Energy Office, South Carolina Energy Office, will be doing any type of rollout of the program that they're going to be administering under these new grants?
There is, I mean, for the SE.
I was going to say, June 2nd, South Carolina Finance Council is having their quarterly meeting in Columbia to contact South Carolina Energy Office. A lot of the initiatives for this will probably addressed in that meeting.
Well, if you go to their website, they have an RFP out right now. And that RFP is for projects related to, as I said, public buildings, K through 12, and universities. And it has an allocation to every single, it looks like it has an allocation to every K through 12 school in the state. So they've already kind of predicted where this money's going. Yes?
I see three main obstacles to getting this money to flow, and I wonder if you could address this. The first one is having people who are qualified and can quickly enough within these different entities that are qualified for these grants, think on their feet, get the grants written, and get them in. That's number one. Number two, the ability of the State Energy Office to assemble these, look at that, and flow it back. And then three, finding the talent within our communities to implement these. Can you address what we can do as a community to, maybe collaborate and, maybe have some grant writing type meetings? I don't know if these things are already going on, but what can we do about that?
Well, I think you bring up extremely valid points that are not unique just to this state, but that are a challenge for all states. Is that one is that the general capacity of staff within these agencies had never had to spend this kind of money. And it's a short timeline. They had 18 months to 24 months to get it spent. That doesn't mean the project has to be done, but they've got to get it out the door spent. So that is challenging and problematic. And many governors have said you can't hire staff. And maybe you can contract out and have people help you, but you're not going to bring anyone on staff to help directly. Secondly, there's a requirement that there's a transparency requirement across all of this. That the departments of energy are tracking it and monitoring it. And so what's happening right now is all the states have submitted their plans. And their plans, they've already gotten 10% of their money. They'll get another 40% in the next, let's just say, 45 to 60 days. And then they're going to be tracked, they're going to be monitored to see that they're actually following their plan and everything's moving smoothly. Then they'll get their next 50% of allocation for a sustained period of time. A very simple answer. This, hopefully, this is not something that you don't want to hear. I think it's important that all of you voice your concerns to your energy office and to your governor and to your state elected officials, because it's just a big chunk of money that's coming in, and if no one's, the thing that's most frustrating to me, because and we work across so many states, is that states come in this, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but they're coming into it in sort of this negative or naive perspective that we've been doing this for years, we can handle it. But that's not the case. This is a lot of money, and there's a lot of opportunity. And the opportunity is to think strategically for the state, and I'm not convinced that it's happening in a lot of places. So I think making your voice heard, giving ideas, and it's going to be a race. That's the other problem, is that it's going to be a race to get money out the door. And so these RFPs that are out there, you've got 30 days or 45 days to get things ready and push them through. I don't have the best answer for you.
Does anybody know if there's any collaborative efforts on the other end within Greenville county and the other counties in the upstate to, work together to try to, apply for these grants, for example, school
Yeah.
district.
They are, in fact, the top 10 counties. My understanding of talking with one of the people from the Spartanburg County administrator yesterday is that the top 10 funded counties in the state, those were direct grants to them. They all got together and sat down and put their guidelines together on what they were going to write for. So that's already underway.
The ones that are going
The
straight.
top 10 population, top 10 grant size. All it's the smaller ones that I think are having problems.
The smaller communities who will get it's sort of a sub-granting process through the Energy Office, that money is then going to go through the COGS, the Appalachian Council of Governments up here. The guidelines for that program are supposed to be released today. My understanding is a deadline would be September, July, somewhere between maybe September, but don't quote me on that. Those are going to be the opportunities for the small communities while they don't have a directive just yet. That what the Energy Office did say is the guidelines will strongly follow the guidelines for the SEP, the State Energy Program. So if you look at that, you've sort of seen what the guidelines are. That's sort of a big hint as to what they're going to look like. So if you go on the website and you look at the State Energy Program guidelines, that's kind of what you're looking at. And you've got this summer to start thinking about how to go for a chunk of that money for your community.
The weatherization tax credit, 30% tax credit, on the low end, is it refundable? On the high end, can a taxpayer subject to alternative minimum tax?
Which tax credit are you referring to?
Well, I believe you said there was a 30% tax credit for an individual who did
The
pay
homeowners.
for a home
residential-
up to $1,500.
Yeah.
And so my question is, for lower income taxpayers, is the tax credit refundable? And for higher income tax credits,
I don't think it's refundable.
No.
For higher income, yes.
for higher income people, are you disqualified from getting it if you're subject to
I mean,
alternative?
I don't think it's refundable, but your second question about higher income, I think that's an excellent question for a CPA, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer on that one. I don't think you're disqualified, but I don't want to be the authority on that.
Question. In one of the pots of money that you had up there, you mentioned a green community development program. Okay, well, there's been a lot of discussion lately about what is a green community. How is it defined in that?
It's what you see is how it's defined. It's very loosely defined. I have to dig into the statute to tell you the answer to that, but broadly, it's about green development community. I mean, that could be, honestly, it could be a little bit of everything. This bonding program that was initiated is new, and so there's not much behind it. And I understand a lot of the things that I presented today are brand new. So the guidance, and as you just heard, today, tomorrow, they're going to release things. It is day by day, new information comes out. And so the ability to look at these things provides an opportunity. And you can, in essence, I'm not saying you can define it the way you want, but it's open-ended enough to where many projects will fit into these terms.
Ben, I want to ask a question about the bonds. Those projects that qualified, those would have to be municipal projects. They're municipal? No. How does that work?
For two aspects. For the renewable energy bonds, there are they don't have to be municipal or state projects, but they have to be the ones that issue the bonds.
Okay.
So there could be a public-private partnership.
Okay.
On the qualified energy conservation bonds, once again, it could be a public-private partnership. It just has to be issued by a bonding authority within the state.
So a private entity could approach a government
Absolutely.
partner about